had a double glazing guy come to my window. Hello. I had a really bad experience once with a double glazing salesman. I don't know if you've ever experienced this. I had a guy come to my place and tried to sell me windows and doors. And it was really painful. 2.5 hours, 3 hours later, he was still here. Now, at the beginning of the conversation, he didn't listen to me. I said, can you just measure up and can you just give me a price? Didn't happen. My next guest is the complete opposite of that. Be in your home, 5, maybe 10 minutes, measures up, goes away, then gives you a price. The guy has one really important principle. Treat others how you want to be treated. He's heard all the horror stories. He didn't want to treat people like that. That is how his business has become so successful. You ready to hear from my next guest? Let's do it. Let's meet him. Ernie, how you doing?
Not bad, John. How's things?
Good, man. Good. Thanks for coming on the show to talk to us today. And we're looking forward to chatting to you and trying to get bits of information about your business. Really excited to speak to you, mate.
Yeah, no problem at all.
Awesome. So tell me a story. How did Vantage start?
Well, this is our 10th year anniversary this year, John. So 10 years in business, it feels like a lifetime ago though, since we first started.
Yeah.
Basically, I don't come from a double glazing background, John. What you tend to find is most people who own a double glazing business have some sort of double glazing background. You find a lot of guys who, or maybe a salesman for one of the big companies, or maybe it was a window fitter who decided to go and start their own business. That's traditionally what you sort of find. I've got absolutely no experience with double glazing, and I think that was a massive benefit for me when I came into the industry. First of all, I had no bad habits. You find that a lot of the people who have a double glazing history, they bring bad habits with them. They sort of tend to copy what they're used to. So the hard sell, sitting in people's houses for hours, they think that's the way you should run your business, which I think is the polar opposite of the way you should run your business. So also the fresh set of eyes, John. So when I came into this industry, I decided to run my business the way I would like to be treated if I was a customer, or the way I would like my parents or my grandparents to be treated if someone came out to their house. So that's where I came from. So I used to be a sort of business consultant. I would help businesses that were in trouble, restructure them. And years ago, I was involved with a chap from down in England, and he just bought a window manufacturing plant in Glasgow in Cambuslang. So he bought it literally a few months before the big credit crunch. Now, that business sold only to the new build market. So they had some big customers, Persimmon Home, Barrett's, Wimpy, Cala Homes, and they were a very, very successful business. Mm-hmm. Not long after the chap bought the business, though, the credit crunch kicked in, and it was like turning a tap off. Overnight, everything stopped. So after a few months, the business was hemorrhaging money. And the guy basically came to me and said, look, he was based down in England. He said, look, would you like to come in, have a look, see what we can do? So I went in, and the short version is we restructured the business. We had to let a lot of people go and do deals with the rent and the premises and things. But we got the business on a sort of break-even level. Took about 6 months. But after we got the business to that stage, I had a meeting with the guy, and I said, look, your biggest problem here is you've got one customer base. You've got all your eggs in the one basket.
Yeah.
There's a huge market out there of people, the refit market, people who want to change house windows in their own home. I said, you're not tapping into that market at all. And you've got a really good product. Why, you need to look at that avenue. So it was then that I decided that I saw an opportunity, and I decided to open up Vantage. Right. And I would buy my windows from them, sell to the public, and that's how Vantage Windows was started. So, no double glazing experience at all. But again, I think that was definitely a good thing, John.
I think that is absolutely it is, because I've experienced firsthand. I've actually had someone in my house, and I just asked for a quote to do the front window to get it replaced. And it was 3.5 hours later. And it was really, and I told the guy when I first started, because my background is sales as well. And I was like, I don't need you to do the sales pitch. I just need you to give me a price on the windows. And yeah, it was really, really painful. And at the end, I'm quite forward. And at the end of it, I was just like, mate, you got to be kidding me on. That was mental. But at the same time, I know that he had to go through that script, and like you said, they've got those habits. It's the way they've been trained, and they
Yeah.
have to do that. And you're right. It's like that would work possibly on someone who's a bit older. And like you said before, it's like you wouldn't want your mum and dad to go through that. You wouldn't want
No.
someone older to go through that. And it is so old school. So that, yeah, having a fresh set of eyes and you coming into the industry, oh, what a breath of
Yeah.
fresh air for someone.
The thing too, John, what I couldn't believe about this industry was, you're asking people to hand over thousands of pounds,
Yeah.
to do a full house. It's a lot of money. It's a big investment.
Hmm.
Just so archaic, the industry. I couldn't believe that even the big, I'd have thought the big companies, the household names, I'd have thought that as standard, they would give customers detailed quotes and it would be posted to them and emailed to them, and they would then come to the showroom and see the product. Complete opposite of that. It was very
Really?
much, terrible. No written quotes given. Everything was sort of done in a verbal agreement. They're asking people to sign contracts on the very first visit. They've never seen the product. They've got nothing in writing. It's really important when you're buying this custom-made product, like anything, kitchens, bathrooms, windows.
Mm,
It's really important that you get a detailed quote, because
mm,
that protects everyone. It protects the buyer to make sure they're getting what they think they're getting. It also
yeah.
protects the company too, because
Yeah.
there are situations where a customer does genuinely get mixed up. They've had 5 quotes
Yeah.
and they think that you've asked for, they told you they wanted, say, gold handles, but they told you silver.
Yeah.
On your quote, it's very clear. Everything's itemised. There's pictures of everything.
Right.
So every window says silver handle, and I'll say, Mrs. Smith, go and look at the quote we sent you. It clearly, and they'll come back and say, look, you're right. I think it was other chap that we spoke to. But what I'm saying is, the biggest benefits to the customer, though,
Yeah.
because before you make an investment like that, you need to make sure that you're getting exactly what you think you're getting. The frames
Yeah.
are the right colour, the windows are the right styles. But once you get that, John, it's one thing looking at a quote on a piece of paper or a nice glossy brochure, but you really need to see things in real life.
Yeah.
And that's why I always say to all my customers, look, even if you love the quote and you want to go ahead, please come into the showroom. Please let me show you everything first, and then make your final decision, because you won't go wrong if you
Yeah.
go down that route.
So
So that's
if
the
you
way
come
we
out,
run a business.
yeah, that's really good. If you come out to my place, what can I expect? I'm going to get you to go through and check my windows and doors. How long are you going to be there is probably the main thing.
Okay. So the first thing I tell you when I come in is, I say, the good news is, John, this will be a very quick visit. I'm only here today. This is a fact-finding exercise. I'm only here today to see what you're looking for, get some sizes, confirm some styles. Literally 10, 15 minutes. Now,
Wow.
if you want to sit and ask me questions for half an hour, I'll happily do it for you.
Yeah.
But I'm trying to get in and out of that house as quickly as possible.
Yeah.
Because what we do is, once we've been in the house, I never give a price in the spot, John. A lot of people will say, well, roughly what do you think it's going to cost? And I say, I can't answer that. I've got to go away and work out the manufacturing costs, the material costs, how long the job's going to take. But what we do is, as standard with every single customer, whether it's just one window or a full house with the windows, you'll always get a detailed itemised quote from us. You'll always get it within 24 hours by email, and you'll always get it through the post. You will send a hard copy through the post within 48 hours. That's what we do. So now, I always try and over-deliver for my customers. So if I come to your house, I'll say to you, you'll have a quote by tomorrow by email, but 99% of the time you'll have it that night, because I make sure that I do it that night. So, it's just building up confidence. People, you quote well, you do what you say you're going to do, everything's nice and clear. It just gives people confidence.
Yeah.
And, a lot of people, it's a big thing, changing your windows and doors. It's a big decision, it's a lot of money, and you want it done right. So the way we do it is, I personally think, it's the best way to do it.
Yeah, absolutely. I would
opinion.
agree. Yeah, absolutely. Who's your ideal customer?
We've been a member of Which, as you can probably see. We've been a member of Which for about 4 years now. Now, probably your typical Which customer, I would say, is my favourite customer. A Which customer is the type of person who, they're more discerning, if I want to use that word. They're not just about who's the cheapest.
Yeah.
They're looking for, I like older people, to be honest, John. See, older people have been about a lot longer, so they tend to be a bit wiser too. And older people realise it's all about the quality and value for money. It's not just about who's the cheapest. The old saying, you buy cheap, you buy twice. It's a true saying, John. But a typical Which customer will phone me. Now, we've been a member for Which about 4 years, and it's genuinely one of the best things that we ever did was join Which. because they bring a really high quality customer to you, and they bring me lots and lots of business. So I'll get people phoning me saying, we live in Dundee, we know you're down in Bells Hill, but we are Which customers. We've been with Which for years. We really trust what they say, and they're telling us that you're at this moment the highest rated window and door company in the country. So we want you to do our windows. And obviously the price is a factor too, John. You can't be incredibly expensive. But those type of customers, they're just looking for value for money, quality. They want the job done right. They want to know if there is going to be a problem, you'll deal with it quickly for them.
Yeah.
But that's my favourite type of customer, because it's more about, if you're looking for all of that, we're the type of company that you'll go with. So yeah, that's probably my favourite. But I got on well with old people for some reason. So I don't know. Probably. Yeah. I would say
so just in regards to Which, do you have to qualify to be registered with those guys? Like, you have to have a certain amount of caliber, I guess, and to register?
Which are very strict. And that's the way they should be. You know, Which has built up a brand for 60 years or so.
Wow.
And it's all about giving people the best possible advice. So for years it was always about products, and then several years back they started doing recommended tradesmen. So it's a very serious vetting process with Which it takes from start to finish. It took a few months.
Wow.
The first thing they do is they'll check me as the business owner. They'll look at my business history. If I've got a checkered history, you know, lots of different companies, and there's no chance you're getting in. And unfortunately, in this industry, there's lots of guys like this in this industry.
Right.
You know, they've been about for 40 years, but they've had 20 double glazing companies in 40 years. You know, seriously, that's there's loads of people like that in this industry. The double glazing industry, unfortunately, hasn't got a great reputation.
Yeah. But
it's very much self-inflicted, John. But getting back to Which, so they do a vetting process. They check your terms and conditions. They check customers. Actually, now that you're saying that, we also just last week on Thursday there, we actually became a trading standard approved business too. And literally there's very, very few double glazing companies in this country that are trading standard approved. But it was the same process. You know, we did all of the staff had background checks done on them. You know, criminal background checks. Again, I was thoroughly investigated. They took, like Which, they took randomly picked customers that we'd installed, and then they picked customers. It wasn't like, give us 5 customers. It was like, give us 20 customers, we'll pick them, and we'll decide who to contact. And unless you get a glowing report, you weren't getting in. So Which is really good. Trading standards is really good, because they're not there. It's not more, they're there to protect consumers. They're not going to put their brand or their name against a company unless it's squeaky clean and really good at what you do. So, but you know, a fantastic thing to do. Any sort of business that deals with the public, any tradesman, try and get into Which, because it gives you a lot of the hard work that people would normally do, but try to investigate. They've done it for you.
Yeah,
so it's
they've done all the hard work.
They've done all the hard work. Yeah.
So what advice would you give to someone who's starting up their own business, Ernie?
Be prepared to work extremely hard. Be prepared to give up your weekends. Be prepared to give up your holidays. Unless you're willing to, you know, give it 110%, it's just not worth you doing. If you're the type of person who wants to go home at the weekend and switch your phone off, or go on holiday for 2 weeks and switch your phone off, don't run your own business, because you just can't do it.
Yeah.
The 3 most important, apart from obviously yourself who runs the business, the most important people are obviously your customers. Got to treat them right. You've got to be good with them, because they'll always come back, John. They'll recommend you. Treat them the way, and I keep saying this, treat them the way you'd expect to be treated by them if it was the other way around. Your staff are absolutely vitally important. Your staff will make you or break you, especially in this industry when you've got fitters going out and fitting windows, you know, and doors. Your staff, I've got fantastic fitters, I genuinely do. But they're the guys that really, you know, if you look at all our reviews online, it's mostly about how great the fitters were. Not only were they great fitters, but they're great with customers, they're courteous, they're polite, they've tidied up properly. So your staff, you've got to look after your staff, John, and you want the best possible staff, and you've got to pay them the good wages to get the best guys. But the third factor is your suppliers. You've got to build good working relationship with your suppliers. If you can, I've always said this thing where if you can pay your suppliers before you're meant to pay them, pay them early, pay them on time. Because see if you ever need help from them, they'll help you.
That's
If
a
you're the
good
type of
point.
company you look after them, if I ever need a favour, I've got a broken bit of glass, I really need it done by tomorrow. The guys that I work with, the companies that I work with, we've built up such a good relationship with each other. They'll always help you. If you don't have a good relationship, they'll just say, I'm sorry, but next week. Same with your staff. If you're good to your staff and you treat your staff with respect, they'll help you too, John. See if you need them to go out of the weekend and work for you at the last minute, they'll do it for you.
Yeah.
So it's all about building relationships with your customers, your staff, and your suppliers. That's the best advice I can give. And be prepared to work long hours.
Yeah. That's awesome. And what in regards to your suppliers, you're talking about that. Do you have local suppliers? Do you source locally?
Our main supplier of windows and doors, and it's been the same now for 10 years, is a company from down in England called Consort Windows. Consort are a huge, big manufacturer. They've been about for about 40 years. In my opinion, John, they're the best manufacturer around. Really high quality product. They use all the best components. They've got, German Vica frames, Pilkington glass. They've got all the proper accreditations that you should have, all the certifications, all the kite marks. Which means I can prove to my customer how good the product is because I've got the paperwork to back it up. So that's my main supplier. But I also use local suppliers. Like there's a little company I use in Hamilton called House of Glass who do all the specialist glass. They're a fantastic business. The girl that owns that, Nicola, we've got a great working relationship. I use recycling guys to do all my recycling. Again, great local companies. We buy our materials locally. So the bulk of our big bits, the big windows, the doors come from down south, but everything else is local.
It's local. That's awesome. It is so important, especially what happened in 2020. Obviously with COVID and everything else, and still bleeding into this year. That to support local businesses and to keep it all local. Because you're seeing a lot of businesses just go away that have been around for years and years. So that's awesome that you're doing that. What's in store for 2021 for your business?
Well, the big issue we have at the moment is we're not allowed to fit, and we've not been allowed to fit since the 26th of December. So we've got challenges ahead of this year. When we finished up for Christmas, John, we were completely booked out for 3 months. January, February, March was completely booked out for installations. Wow. But we've not been able to fit. So obviously, we're desperate to get back to work, but we have to obviously follow government guidelines. But since obviously then, I've still been selling because people are still, I'm doing a lot of remote selling, and under certain circumstances, I'm still allowed to give people quotes. So I've got another 2 months worth of work now that we've in the last couple of months. So we've now got 5 months worth of work.
Wow.
So logistically, we've got all these jobs to rebook in, and so it's going to be challenging. But don't get me wrong, I'd rather be sitting with loads of work ready to go than sitting with no work. So I'm fortunate in that respect. But I think 2021 is going to be challenging for everyone. Last year, after the first lockdown, we came back to work after 2 months. We were shut down completely for 2 months. And I thought to myself, this will go one of two ways. Either people will not want to spend any money now because they'll be too scared, or it's going to go crazy. And it went absolutely crazy. So when we came back from lockdown last year, our sales more than doubled for about 5 or 6 months straight, because people weren't going on holiday last year. People had, like myself, I did about 26 odd jobs around my house in the 2 months that I was off, painting walls and emptying lofts and all these little jobs, and everyone was the same, John. We were all doing exactly the same thing. But the big jobs, the windows, the big kitchens, the bathrooms, you're not capable. Most people aren't capable of doing that themselves. So a lot of people made the decision, the money we would normally spend on holiday this year, we're just going to spend it on their house, because they spent 2 months fixing their house up. Sure. And they realised that they needed the big jobs done. It just went absolutely bonkers. But that brought its own problems, because there was a massive spike in demand. We couldn't keep up with supply. A lot of the manufacturers were really struggling with materials. A lot of the manufacturers couldn't work to full capacity because of COVID restrictions. So it was a bit of a perfect storm. I've got a feeling it could go the same way again this year.
Mm,
Brexit thrown into the equation, windows and doors and things, lots of the components come from abroad, John.
right.
And there's going to be, I think, big issues with trying to get things into the country. But look, everybody's in the same boat.
Yeah.
Everybody's in the same boat. I learned a lot from the last lockdown and putting things in place now. So, we'll wait and see. I think it might be the same as far as the last lockdown. I think it might be really busy because, again, I don't know how confident people are this year again in booking holidays. So it
Mm,
might be the same again, which, listen, that's great for our economy. It's great the fact that all the money's getting spent in this country
mm.
and not abroad. So it's going to be interesting, I think, but we're all in the same boat, John.
So have you noticed, you mentioned Brexit there, that in regards to prices, have they increased,
Yes, yes,
right?
yes, yes.
Has that been quite a lot?
Yes, every
Wow.
single one of our suppliers increased their prices in the 1st of March. Everyone across the board, windows, doors, materials, everything went up in price. It's costing a lot more now to bring materials into the country.
Mm.
John, you're hearing stories that a container that used to cost maybe £3,000 is now costing £15,000.
What?
So Brexit, yeah, seriously. So it's massive price increases. Um, it's one of the knock-on effects of Brexit, unfortunately.
Yeah.
Obviously, you've got COVID in there too, so you've got Brexit and you've got COVID at the same time. It's
Mm,
just, so yeah, prices have went up, but everyone's prices have went up, John. It's not
yeah.
just certain people; everyone's prices have up across the board.
Yeah, that's mental. Yeah, so COVID, you mentioned that before. It's kind of had a weird effect on your business because, like you said, no one's going anywhere. So really,
Yes.
you haven't had it. It's not been that bad, I think, for your business in regards to COVID, has it? Apart from, like you said,
Yeah,
it's as delays. People are going to have to wait.
yeah, yeah,
But I mean, that speaks volumes in itself in regards to people wanting your services, regardless of whether
yeah,
you're
yeah.
with
True.
Which or anything like that.
Yeah,
People are coming to you for your business because obviously the way that you're treating them and the way that you handle your business as well, and like you were talking about your frontline staff and everything. Yeah, Ernie, what is your most proud moment?
in the last 10 years,
Yeah.
I've had lots of proud moments. The Probably the proudest moment I had was in 2018. We were entered into the Scottish Home Improvement Awards under the category of the best window and door company, and it was our first time we'd been in it, and we won it. Which for a company of my size was fantastic. So that was a great night.
Mm,
The next year we were in it again, 2019, and we won it again. So we got it two
wow.
years in a row. And we were actually in the final again last year in 2020, but COVID had other ideas, so that was actually put on hold. So we were going for a treble, which we didn't obviously get
Yeah.
because of COVID. COVID had other ideas. That's been, but lots of other things, John. Our ratings on, for example, things like Which, like if you check, and I did check this morning because Which are very, very strict. So if I say something needs to be factually correct, so as of today, I went on and checked, and if you check Scotland as a whole and you look up for double glazing companies and you rate them, like the rating, who's got the highest rating, it's us for the whole of Scotland. We've got 347 reviews now.
Wow.
That's as of the 9th of March 2021. That could change next week, and I have to
Yeah.
be very specific about that because someone might watch this video a year from now and we might not be the
Yeah.
top. But things like that make me very proud. The relationship we've got with our staff, we've got a great working environment in here. All the staff got on great, and we got on great with our customers. So just generally the reputation we've built up over the last year, that's probably the main thing.
Yeah.
That's the main thing.
That's awesome. Ernie, I really appreciate you speaking to me today about all of this. And, it's been quite good. We've had conversations previously to this as well. And we spoke for,
Yeah,
I think, quite a bit of time, but no, definitely, hopefully our viewers have got some information today about if there is either starting up their business or they're in business and they want to change their model, because your model does sound like it absolutely works. So no, thanks very much for coming on, and we look forward to hearing more from you in the future.
pleasure. Thanks, John.
Guys, thanks very much for watching, and I hope you enjoyed this episode. Make sure you subscribe and like, and we'll put the links below in regards to Ernie and his business, and you can go and visit his website. Thanks very much for watching, and we'll see you next time.